Hello, this is Julia Davis of Finchley Yoga and the Yoga Teachers Forum, and I'm here today with Andrea Clarke, and we're going to be doing something really special together every Thursday from 1 till 2. But before I and Andrea tell you a little bit more about it, I'm just going to say hello to Andrea and introduce you a little bit to her. So hi Andrea.
Hi Julia, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all, thank you.
Andrea's root medicine is a beautiful, wonderful sharer of womb massage and many, many more beautiful sharings. But I'd like to pass you over to Andrea so that she can tell you a little bit more about how you came to be doing what you do, what you do kind of in the real world before lockdown, and what since.
Gosh, that seems such a long time ago, doesn't it? It's such a long time ago. In the real world, I work with women's health. So I use a few different modalities, a few different tools and techniques. I've been in practice for over 20 years. So I started as a reflexologist and as a body worker, and they're still kind of quite core to what I do. Energy healing, energy medicine is also very, very at the core of the work that I do. And probably in the last 10 or so years, I've really started specializing in women's health. So that is the basis of my practice. I work with fertility clients. I work with clients who've experienced trauma, sexual trauma, emotional trauma. I work with loss. And yeah, so that's my main client base, very, very close to my heart. Beautiful work, very, very much needed work. The things that I concentrate on now are the energy work, womb work, and holistic pelvic care. So that's a fairly new to this country kind of practice. It's based on the work of Tammy Kent, Wild Feminine. It is one of those things that when I tell people what I do, I get one of three responses, but it's a blend of internal vaginal massage and energy reading. Very powerful, very simple, very beautiful. And I also do that work energetically as well. So I do that work online. And yes, so since lockdown, I've taken some of that work online. I've had I've had 4 or 5 weeks where I've really felt the need to kind of find some space. So lots of things that I've got planned, retreats and workshops and trainings that have had to be cancelled. I find that quite difficult. Went through a stage of grief and loss. So just coming out of that. So I came out of that in the last couple of weeks. So started doing some online stuff. And yeah, that's what we're going to be doing in the next few weeks.
Thank you so much. There's so much that's rich in what you've just talked about. So the fact that you work with fertility and with loss, those two things can really go hand in hand for many, many women. A lot of what you said really resonates with the experience that we're having now, that you've acknowledged that you've had loss from this, that your world is very, very different, that you're used to working person to person with people and spreading the word about what you teach so beautifully in person with other people, and that's something that you're not able to do. So thank you so much, and we've got a really beautiful picture of that and the way that you are able to hold space for people who, women who experience sexual trauma or, really big stuff, that, you're able to hold that, and you've chosen as your vocation to hold that for women. So I met Andrea here in my studio a couple of times, once in a women's group, well, both times in a women's group. One was like a joyous circle, and one was very, very specifically looking at menopause. And this manifestation that we're creating together we're calling it a cycle check-in. And the way that we envisage it is that we have the opportunity to gather together with whoever chooses to, check in with how we're feeling using the vocabulary of the cycle, and then either Andrea or myself will lead us into a mindfulness, meditation, breathing. Some of these words are really loaded. It's just a place to sit and be with a voice carrying you through the experience. So it can be it's a really, really lovely thing. And one of the reasons why we're doing this together is because we both need a bit of holding ourselves. And if one week I do the holding and the other week Andrea does the holding, we get held. So it's really pleasant to do that. So what we were planning to do today is to give you a feel for what that looks like. And we're going to use ourselves as examples. We might not delve really, really deep, because when we do in circle, it's a confidential held space. And what we're doing right here is we're recording it and sending it out to whoever wants to see it. So it might not be as revealing as a cycle check-in can be, but I'll give you a flavour for it. And the way that I use my vocabulary is I use the seasons, and Andrea does too, but it's in a slightly different way because I have a monthly cycle and Andrea does no longer have a monthly cycle. So it's a slightly different way, and she'll explain that when she comes to talk about how she's feeling. So the way that it works is the seasons: winter, spring, summer, and autumn. Winter equates to the bleed of the cycle. So the first, kind of the heaviest day of the bleed, which is often the first day, for some people it's the second or third, would be the beginning of winter. Then normally, if you're looking at an archetype, 7 days later, you'd be coming into spring. And what that often feels like is there's a kind of a burst of energy. You might find that as you come towards the end of your menstrual cycle, you do get a burst of energy. Sometimes mine comes really too soon and I have to kind of clamp it down. But it's kind of that sprightly feeling. If you ever see a puppy running around, it could be that kind of energy. And there can be a shyness to it as well. So if you kind of know of a teenager who's grown a bit too fast, there can be that kind of a feeling as well. And then 7 days after that, you come into summer. And for somebody who's having a menstrual cycle, that coincides with ovulation. And that's when you look in the mirror and you think, bloody hell, I look gorgeous today. Excuse my French. You're like, woohoo, I'm amazing, I can conquer the universe. And what I did in my summer, just gone, in my cycle, was I made all these, I planned this with Andrea, and what I didn't do was look at my cycle and think, oh gosh, I've planned things for then. And sometimes you plan things for your winter when you're in summer, or your entire life, and you fill your diary and you think, I can do everything at any stage. It's very, very energetic and powerful. And if you think about the summer, there's very little dark. In the UK, there's very little dark in the height of summer. And that's why you kind of think, woohoo, I can go till midnight. Oh, wake up at 5, yay. That's that feeling. And then autumn can be really amazing, because let's say you're writing a book, everyone, and their sister seems to be writing a book apart from me right now. If you are writing a book, pick your autumn time to read it through and edit it. Be really careful not to throw it away, because you could do that as well. But it's when you cut out the rubbish. It's when you're most likely to shout at someone as well, and you're kind of untamed in autumn. So that's the vocabulary. For me, it's very much connected to my menstrual cycle. For many of us, it's connected to the actual seasons itself. So in spring, you feel spring-like, and winter, you feel like hibernating. Actually, this, the external seasons. And also we can use the moon, the lunar cycle. In the spring and summer, the lunar cycle is less easy to hold on to, because we're less likely to be awake to see the moon. We're less likely to be conscious of the lunar cycle. If you're a practicing Muslim or a practicing Jewish person, then that's pointed out to you as part of the rituals that are included in that religion that everybody follows. So you'll know, because if you go into synagogue that week or you go into mosque that week, it'll be marked in a specific way. But I find it quite a challenge to know. I think we're coming up to full moon, actually. I think full moon was yesterday.
Next week.
Next week. Oh, there you go. I'm not quite there. So I'll check in with you today. I am day 2 of my cycle. So what my body's telling me to do is let go and rest. So maybe the last thing I should be doing is presenting on a video about my cycle.
I know. I think we did say, didn't we? Actually, it would be really nice if you were able to. Would have been nice if you were able to present this little piece, lying down, bolstered up, bolsters under the knee, maybe 2 bolsters under the knee, maybe 1 under the feet,
Yeah.
1 under the neck,
Oh.
a couple under the arms, little eye pillow, blanket, really kind of nestling in and giving your body what it's craving, which is probably a little bit of rest.
Yeah.
But one of the things I kind of explain to clients, because we don't always have the opportunity to rest when we're bleeding, even though that's what we're being called to do. And I explain a little technique that you can just talk to your body and say, I know this is what you need. I know you need to be away from people. I know you need the space. I know you need the quiet. But I actually need to be in the real world, going out to work, whatever it is that you need to do. But knowing that as soon as you are able to, you can retreat home and you can go and do what you need to do, whether that's a lovely bath or just getting straight into bed, having some nice warming soup. But just so your body knows, I do know what's going on. I hear you. I hear your need. And so that as soon as I get the opportunity to, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And that kind of softens things a little bit, makes it a little bit easier to cope with, because you're going to yourself, you could be saying all day, as soon as I can, I'm going home. As soon as I can, just a little bit longer. And it just kind of eases the things a little bit, I think.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Totally. You've said that perfectly. You really have. And just you saying those things about, well, where I'd imagine you to be is to have your bolster, and that kind of allowed me to imagine it, and it gave me a little bit of where I could be. So thank you.
You can actually feel it in your body though, can't you? As I'm saying it, you can actually go, there's part of your energy systems that is actually starting to do that and going, oh yes, because you know what it's like, you've felt it.
Yeah.
You know what that feels like, so you can put yourself in that place.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. So I've shared my winter, which isn't quite happening, but I did tell Andrea I'm not doing, I've siphoned off Saturday and Sunday, so hopefully it'll happen then. Where are you energetically today, Andrea?
So we are in spring, what's equivalent to spring. So the nymph stage, or the maiden. We're coming up to full moon, which is next week. How much I cycle with the moon very much varies. The cycling isn't as deep as it is with a menstrual cycle, but nevertheless, the 2 main points I would say, so the full moon and the dark moon, are the 2 points that I feel the most. So this, but also kind of coming into spring. This morning I did an online sister circle, so that was kind of all a little bit fraught. So I'm probably not feeling quite as energized as I would do normally after that. And yeah, if I'm honest, maybe in lockdown it's altered it even further. It's I wouldn't say it's kind of dampened it down. It's dampened everything down a little bit, because you're not quite so easy to follow the cues, are you? So if you are feeling very energized and full of spring and summer energy, there's not the same outlet for it. So whereas you would kind of normally be kind of building on it on a daily basis as you're moving through spring and summer, there's not the same amount, there's not the same capacity to do that. So yeah, if I'm really thinking about it, it's all been dampened down a little tiny bit. we shall see. Next week, new moon, full moon. We shall see.
Yeah. So
maybe I'm going like, wow.
Yeah. I think it's very well, though, to say that how we're feeling is affected by our external experience. So we've got an external experience of lockdown, and certainly I found in my last cycle I had an awful lot going on, a really, really lot going on in my family, in everything last cycle. And it was really interesting. In my winter, I hardly bled. It was so light, and it was like there was something internal that was going, hold on, there is no space in your life to rest. So guess what? It's almost like we're going to skip it this month. And I kept on waiting for day one to be the real day one. I was like, is this no? Is it no? And then it was gone. I was like, oh, okay. That didn't happen. And I think that might be an experience that a lot of people are having.
Absolutely. I think talking to a lot of women, their menstrual cycles have been not how they are normally. So either really holding on, so really extended cycles of 30, 40 plus days sounds to have been a really common thing, or to have had a particularly heavy bleed or a particularly light bleed, but definitely not following on that you would as your normal regular kind of cycle. So, you know, obviously what's happening to us on an emotional level is going to impact on our womb's ability to be able to release and let go. We need to feel safe to release and let go, don't we? So kind of makes sense, but it's also kind of good to check in with other people and go, that's what it is. It's nothing to be concerned about. It's actually my body just doing a normal kind of thing. It's just reacting to the situation.
Yeah, and it's interesting what you say about it's so normal to have our womb be in tune with what's going on for us. And for you and I, absolutely. We're so used to checking in with, how's this affecting me here? But for everyone, that's not true. And what we're aiming to do with this circle, 1 till 2 on a Thursday, it's £10 to come along, it's really worth every penny, is to give everyone, those of you who already have a vocabulary for this, it just allows you to be with other people and share it and then be held in that space with either Andrea or I leading you through a beautiful practice. And if you don't, so maybe you're somebody who has always had an irregular cycle or has got stuff going on with your cycle that you're not liking or anything to do with that, or you've come into perimenopause, everything's all over the place, or you've come into menopause and you want something to anchor you. There's all sorts of reasons for wanting to check in. This space where you can. And what our experience is that when we share, it's not only giving us an opportunity to let other people hear us or to be heard. We're sitting hearing other people's experience. And what that does, even when it's an experience that's completely different to our own, it validates us. By listening to others, we're validating our own experience. And it is really powerful to do that. Would you like to add on your kind of little...
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Just there's something quite magical about sitting in circle and sharing and being witnessed is just a beautiful thing. There's nothing quite like it, you know. Completely agree with everything that you've said there. Yeah.
Thank you. It's good we're in agreement because we're going to be doing this.
Yes. So, yeah. No, I've got nothing to add to that. That was lovely. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So right now, we're not going to be able to share the full meditative breathing, whatever you want to call it, practice that we're going to share, because it'll take some time to do that. But what Andrea and I thought might be nice is if we just, it's not really it's a really lovely thing to do. If we did 5 breaths together, and I'm going to lead us through the practice. The way that we're going to breathe is a really simple breathing practice where you breathe in through your nose and you breathe out really softly through your mouth, really gently, so that the lips are only just parting, and it's like this really gentle. Some people call it golden thread or candle flicker breath because there's so little air. It's like such a long flowing out breath. So if you'd like to join in with Andrea and I, we've got different breath lengths. So I might breathe a lot faster than Andrea or a lot slower than Andrea. It doesn't matter, because we're going to go with our own breathing pattern. She's not going to try and match me. I'm not going to try and match her. She might choose to have her eyes open. I might choose to have my eyes closed, or vice versa. Or we might both have our eyes open or both have our eyes closed. That's our choice, what we do with that. And when we've completed the 5 breaths, we're going to give ourselves a little bit of space to notice how we're feeling. So I'm going to invite Andrea to close her eyes if she chooses to. You can keep them open if you want to. And we're both going to check in with our breath. Just notice how our breath is. And then in our own time, when we're ready, we're both going to breathe in through our nose. And if it feels okay, we'll breathe out through our mouths. And we'll do that 5 times. And when we've completed the 5 breaths, we're just going to notice how we're feeling. So Andrea, when you've completed your 5 breaths, maybe allow your head to drop a little way. Notice how you're feeling, and then blink your eyes open. So what we'll be doing in the circle is, once we've completed the practice, we'll check in with how we're feeling. And if we choose to, we can share that. If we choose not to, we don't have to share that. So I'm going to invite Andrea to share how that breathing practice made you feel, if you choose to, and you can choose not to.
Sure, thank you, thank you. That's just really allowed me to just drop into my body, really drop into my torso, just feel really beautifully relaxed. I've got a few things that I need to do, and I'm kind of like wondering if I have to do them, maybe. But yeah, just feel very nice and relaxed. And yeah, I could have been asleep within another 10 breaths. I'd have probably been asleep. That was lovely.
Thank you very much. You know, it's always lovely to be reminded how powerful 5 breaths can be. And actually, I had a completely different experience to Andrea, but because you've shared that with me, that's lent me a little bit of the benefits that you gained. So I actually noticed the tingliness that I've got inside me and the tension that I've got, and my need for rest, and my not having done that. So rather than it kind of leading me into my rest, it's just made it even more apparent that it's something that I need to do. So it's slightly, you know, slightly, but then I was holding the space as I was doing it, which is a very different.
Exactly. It's a little bit strange to do it knowing that somebody's watching you breathing. It's a little bit strange, but I think that's, you know, that's a really good awareness, isn't it? That actually it's just kind of like reminding you, going, that's what your body's calling for. That's what you need to be doing. So that's brilliant. From 5 breaths, amazing.
Yeah. So on Thursday, and it's going to be every Thursday 1 till 2 for the foreseeable, we will have an opportunity to do something very similar to what we've done today, but it will be longer. We won't be restricted to 5 breaths. We'll have a lovely period of time to really nestle into the practice that we do together. So I've really enjoyed chatting with you today, Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me.
And me too. And me too.
And those of you who are watching us now,
Thank you.
You're going to be able to find this on the cycle check-in. It's an event on Facebook. It's on the Finchley Yoga page. You can also find it at finchleyoga.com. It's down on the workshops page. It's also on the classes page. And Andrew, I don't know whether you're sharing it anywhere or what other work.
Yes, it will be. It will be, yeah. Yeah.
So
it'll be on, I will put something on Root Medicine, which is my Facebook page, and also I'll put something on my Instagram, which is also Root Medicine, and I should be able to put it on my what's it called, website.
That thing. So
that marketing thing that I've got. Yes. Beyond that.
Else Andrea is doing and does, because you're a wonderful person, Andrew, and I love the Okay, so thank you so much for joining me today, Andrea, and thank you for joining us today too, and we look forward to seeing you between 1 and 2 on Thursdays. Thank you.
Thank you.